Climate resilience refers to the capacity of communities, ecosystems, and societies to withstand, recover from, and adapt to the impacts of climate change while maintaining essential functions, structures, and identities. It involves building resilience to both gradual changes in climate patterns, such as temperature rise and sea level rise, and extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, floods, droughts, and heat waves. Here's how communities can prepare for and adapt to climate extremes to enhance their resilience. Risk assessment and vulnerability analysis. Communities can assess their exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity to climate risks by conducting comprehensive risk assessments and vulnerability analyses. This involves identifying climate hazards, assessing potential impacts on infrastructure, livelihoods, natural resources, and vulnerable populations, and prioritizing areas and sectors for adaptation interventions based on their level of risk and vulnerability. Climate-resilient infrastructure. Communities can invest in climate-resilient infrastructure that can withstand and adapt to climate extremes. This includes upgrading critical infrastructure such as transportation networks, water supply systems, energy infrastructure, and buildings to be more resilient to floods, storms, heat waves, and other climate-related hazards. Infrastructure improvements may include retrofitting, elevating, reinforcing, or relocating assets, as well as incorporating green infrastructure and nature-based solutions to enhance resilience and reduce risk. Ecosystem-based adaptation. Communities can integrate ecosystem-based approaches into their climate adaptation strategies to enhance resilience and reduce vulnerability. This involves conserving and restoring natural ecosystems such as wetlands, mangroves, forests, and coral reefs that provide valuable ecosystem services such as flood protection, water purification, carbon sequestration, and habitat for biodiversity. By protecting and enhancing natural ecosystems, communities can increase their resilience to climate change impacts while promoting biodiversity and ecosystem health. Early warning systems and emergency preparedness. Communities can establish early warning systems and emergency preparedness plans to reduce the impacts of climate-related disasters and improve response and recovery efforts. This includes developing robust monitoring and forecasting systems for extreme weather events, disseminating timely warnings and advisories to the public, and implementing preparedness measures such as evacuation plans, emergency shelters, and disaster response training for local authorities and communities. Community engagement and social cohesion. Communities can build resilience through inclusive and participatory approaches that engage diverse stakeholders, foster social cohesion, and empower local communities to take ownership of adaptation efforts. This involves raising awareness about climate risks and adaptation options, facilitating dialogue and collaboration among stakeholders, and integrating local knowledge and traditional practices into adaptation planning and decision-making processes. By building social capital and community networks, communities can enhance their adaptive capacity and collective resilience. Policy and governance. Communities can strengthen their resilience to climate extremes by implementing supportive policy and governance frameworks at the local, national, and international levels. This includes integrating climate resilience considerations into land use planning, zoning regulations, building codes, and infrastructure investment decisions, as well as promoting climate-smart policies and incentives that incentivize resilience-building measures. Effective governance structures, coordination mechanisms, and partnerships among government agencies, civil society organizations, private sector actors, and other stakeholders are essential for ensuring coherence, coordination, and effectiveness in climate adaptation efforts. Overall, building climate resilience requires a holistic and integrated approach that addresses social, economic, environmental, and governance dimensions of resilience. By implementing a combination of adaptation measures and strategies tailored to local contexts and needs, communities can enhance their ability to cope with and adapt to climate extremes, reduce vulnerabilities, and build a more sustainable and resilient future.